The Galactic Federation Arena was the largest structure ever built in the Orion Arm. It floated in the cold void between stars, a shining ring of light and energy. Every 3 cycles, the greatest athletes from across the galaxy came here to compete in the Interstellar Games, a contest of strength, speed, intelligence, and teamwork. To win here was to become immortal in history. Entire civilizations watched the games cheering for their champions. But this year was different. For the first time in thousands of cycles, a new species had entered. A young species, a small one from a blue planet on the edge of the Milky Way, humanity. When the announcement was made, laughter echoed across the galactic networks. Commentators joked about how fragile humans were, how they still used oxygen and gravity as if they were primitive tools. Most species had evolved beyond physical competition. They used technology, nanites, and bio-upgrades. But humans? They were still natural, still rough, still organic. To the rest of the galaxy, humans were amusing at best. No one expected them to last even 1 round. Inside the human camp on the arena station, Captain Mira Hale stood before her small team of 6. They were wearing sleek black uniforms with the insignia of the United Earth Alliance, a silver star circling a globe. "All right, team," she said, her tone calm but firm. "You all know what they think of us. We're underdogs, outsiders, maybe even jokes to them. But we're here to prove something." She looked at each face. There was Sergeant Leon Voss, tall and quiet, a former soldier who had seen too many wars. Dr. Rena Sol, the team's strategist, small and clever, who had calculated every rule of the alien games. Eli Trent, the engineer who modified their suits with precision. Asha Rai, their fastest sprinter, once called the Lightning from Mumbai. And finally, Tobias Toby Cruz, the youngest, with a grin that never faded. "What are we proving, Captain?" Toby asked, half smiling. "That humanity doesn't quit," Mira replied simply. "No matter who stands against us." The first event was called the Gauntlet of Worlds, a massive obstacle course that tested agility, adaptability, and endurance. Each round took place in a simulated environment from a different planet. Frozen tundras, burning deserts, zero-gravity caverns, and even molten asteroid tunnels. Hundreds of species entered, each confident in their superior physiology. The Turvans, with their 6 limbs and reflexes faster than light. The Korath, capable of surviving underwater for days. The Rilani, who could fly with biosynthetic wings. And then there were the humans, wearing simple gravity boots, basic visors, and heart monitors. When they walked onto the field, the crowd of alien spectators rippled with laughter and whispers. "Is that what a human looks like? They're so small. They're not even enhanced. Are they suicidal?" The commentator's voice boomed through the arena speakers. "First-time participants from the Sol system, Team Humanity. Let's hope they survive the first kilometer." Mira ignored the noise. She adjusted her gloves, glanced at her team, and gave a small nod. "Eyes open," she said. "We go together." The whistle sounded, the ground shook. The simulation shifted, and in an instant, they were standing on a planet covered in ice and sharp winds. The temperature dropped instantly. Dozens of alien competitors shot ahead, using wings, jets, or long limbs to cross the icy plains. Humans began running, step by step, steady and strong. The ice cracked underfoot, the wind howled, and snow blinded vision. But humans had something others didn't: adaptation. They covered each other's backs. When Toby slipped, Leon caught him. When Rena's visor fogged, Asha wiped it clear. They didn't move the fastest. They didn't have the strongest muscles. But they didn't stop. After 20 minutes, the first wave of competitors began falling out. Too cold, too tired, too focused on speed. The humans, breathing heavily but smiling, kept going. When they reached the end of the icy world, the portal shimmered before them, glowing red. Mira raised her arm, signaling the team to hold position. "We go through together," she said. "On 3. 1, 2, 3. They jumped. The next world was worse, a zero-gravity cavern filled with floating debris. Here, alien species with wings or jets moved easily. Humans with no natural flight ability had to push and pull themselves through the air using the debris. Toby pushed off a rock and accidentally spun backward. He laughed in the comms. "Okay, this is harder than it looks." "Control your movement," Mira called. "Use small pushes." Slowly, they learned. They moved like climbers in space and pulling themselves, linking arms, spinning gently, adjusting momentum. By the time they reached the cavern's end, most of the faster species had already crashed into rocks or drifted out of bounds. The humans crossed the checkpoint last, but they finished, and that was something no one expected. By the end of the first day, half of the alien teams had dropped out. Some due to exhaustion, some due to injury, and others because they underestimated the course. The humans, though bruised and tired, were still smiling. Reporters from dozens of worlds gathered near their camp, curious now instead of mocking. One alien reporter from the Rilani broadcast network hovered near Mira and asked, "Captain Hale, your team's performance was unexpected. You are slower and physically weaker than most competitors." "How did you survive?" Mira smiled faintly. "Because we don't compete against others," she said. "We compete against ourselves." The reporter blinked, confused. "That sounds inefficient." Mira shrugged. "Maybe, but it works." That night, in the dorm section of their camp, the team sat around a small holographic table. Asha stretched her arms, groaning. "My legs feel like they're made of iron," Leon chuckled. "That's how you know you worked hard." Rena adjusted her datapad. "Tomorrow's event is the trial of reflex. It's supposed to test reaction time and decision-making under stress. The Turvans have an advantage. Their reflexes are 10 times faster than ours." Toby leaned back. "Then we're doomed." "No," Mira said, smiling slightly. "We adapt. We plan," Rena nodded. "Exactly. Their reflexes might be faster, but they act alone. Humans work together. If we coordinate, we might just surprise them." Outside, the galactic arena glowed like a star. Across the galaxy, billions watched replays of the human team's performance. Comment sections were filled with debate. Humans are inefficient. They got lucky. No, look closely, they helped each other. That's rare. They finished the course. They didn't win, but they finished. Maybe there's more to them than we thought. Even some alien competitors sitting in their rest chambers began to feel a strange respect. The humans weren't strong, but they had something different, something old, something primal. When dawn came, or rather the artificial light cycle of the arena, Mira stood once more before her team. "They're starting to notice us," she said. "Tomorrow they'll expect us to fail again. Let's prove them wrong again." Her voice was calm, steady, the kind of tone that came from someone who had seen storms and still walked through them. She looked at her crew, tired but ready. "Remember," she said softly, "they think we came here for sport. But we came here for something more." Leon tilted his head. "What's that, Captain?" Mira smiled. "To remind the galaxy what it means to be human." The second day of the Interstellar Games began with brilliant lights flooding the massive galactic arena. Billions of viewers from hundreds of worlds tuned in. The first day's results were already spreading like a storm. The humans had survived. No one expected that. No one. They weren't the strongest or the fastest, but they finished the gauntlet of worlds. The galaxy now watched with mixed feelings: curiosity, amusement, and growing respect. The next challenge would be harder. Inside the preparation room, the human team stood before a floating hologram that displayed the next course. The glowing letters read, "Trial of Reflex." Dr. Rena Sol studied the hologram carefully. The simulation showed a maze of floating light panels that would flash in random sequences. Each time a panel lit up, the competitor had to react instantly by touching or avoiding it, depending on the color. A single wrong move meant disqualification. It tested reaction speed, focus, and coordination, things that alien species often excelled at thanks to bio-upgrades or neural implants. Captain Mira Hale folded her arms. "No enhancements, no implants, no second chances," she said quietly. "We do this the human way," Asha Rai smirked. "You mean with caffeine and teamwork?" Everyone laughed softly, the tension easing a little. The arena lights dimmed, and the voice of the grand announcer echoed across the void. Next challenge, the trial of reflex. Competitors must react faster than their instincts. Only the sharpest minds and bodies will survive. As the crowd roared, the alien team stepped into their glowing platforms. The Turvans, 6-limbed creatures with lightning-fast reflexes, were clear favorites. Their tendrils twitched constantly, moving faster than human eyes could follow. The Korath, with their neural implants, had an average reaction time measured in microseconds. Then the human team walked out, unarmored, unevolved, and unmodified. The crowd went silent for a moment, then filled with uncertain murmurs. Are they really trying this event? They will never keep up. This will be quick. The signal sounded. A bright sphere of light exploded overhead, and hundreds of panels blinked to life in a massive floating grid. Blue meant touch. Red meant avoid. Green meant jump. White meant crouch. The sequence began, slow at first, then faster and faster still. Alien competitors moved like machines, their limbs snapping and flicking with mechanical precision. Sparks of energy lit the air. The humans, in contrast, moved differently. They weren't the fastest, but they were synchronized. Blue, Mira shouted. Touch, Leon answered, hitting his panel. Green, jump, white. Down, they spoke. They communicated. They moved as one. While others relied on pure reflexes, the humans used coordination. Their voices formed rhythm, and their teamwork became their advantage. Halfway through the challenge, several teams began dropping out. The panel started changing faster than thought itself, switching colors mid-flash. The Turvan's limbs tangled in confusion. The Korath's implants glitched from overload, but the humans kept calling out patterns, adapting their timing like a song. Blue right. Green left, Rena shouted. Copy that, Toby yelled, diving sideways. The crowd began to notice. They're talking? Why are they wasting time communicating? No, wait, they're anticipating together. For the first time, the galaxy saw something that didn't come from enhancements or evolution. It came from connection. Humans didn't just react. They understood each other's rhythm. By the final round, only 3 teams remained. The Turvans, the Korath, and the humans. The pace was now blinding. Light panels flickered faster than any normal creature could follow. The air buzzed with energy. The Turvans began to falter. Their speed meant nothing without coordination. They hit wrong panels and were instantly eliminated. The Korath, though incredibly fast, moved individually. Their implants allowed perfect reflex, mind, but no cooperation. When the panels changed pattern mid-round, they failed to adapt. And the humans? Left, right. Green up, Mira shouted, her voice sharp and focused. Asha leapt, Leon rolled, Toby ducked. Rena's eyes darted across the pattern, predicting the next flash. The crowd held its breath as the humans reached the final 10 seconds. The light flashed red. They dodged. Blue, they touched. White, they crouched. Green, they jumped. The buzzer rang. The lights froze. Only one team remained standing. Humanity. Silence filled the arena. For a long moment, no one moved, no one spoke. Billions of viewers across the galaxy stared at their screens, confused by what they had just seen. Then the scoreboard appeared in glowing letters. Winner. Team Humanity. Perfect completion. The crowd erupted, not with laughter, but with shock, applause, and disbelief. The same commentators who mocked them yesterday now shouted over each other in excitement. Unbelievable. The humans have done it. They outperformed the Korath in reaction speed, without implants. They used teamwork as their enhancement. Cameras zoomed in on the human team. Mira and her crew stood close together, breathing heavily, smiling despite the sweat on their faces. Toby raised his arms. We did it. We actually did it. Leon nodded, grinning. That's what I call human instinct. Later, in the media chamber, dozens of alien journalists surrounded the team. Hollow cameras blinked and hovered in the air. A tall, crystalline being from the Varan Press Union leaned forward. Captain Hale, your team has shocked the galaxy. How did you manage to outmatch species with faster reflexes and advanced technology? Mira gave a small smile. We didn't react faster, she said. We reacted together. The crowd murmured. Rena added, every human brain is fast, but not perfect. Still, when you link 6 minds through trust, you create something stronger than any implant. Asha chuckled. Besides, we've been dodging problems since we learned to walk. Guess that training finally paid off. The aliens didn't understand the humor, but the statement traveled far. Across galactic networks, billions replayed that moment again and again. The moment humans spoke about trust, coordination, and unity as if they were weapons. That night, the Galactic Federation Council held an emergency discussion. They are unpredictable, one delegate said. They lack enhancements. Their biology is average, yet they outperform logic. Another replied, their method is primitive but effective. They act as one organism. If this continues, they might reach the finals. A silence followed. Then the High Chancellor of the Games, a silver-scaled being named Vorthan, leaned forward. Let them continue, he said. The galaxy needs to see how far they can go. Back in the human quarters, the team sat around their table again. The glow of victory still shimmered in their eyes, but they knew it wasn't over. Rena projected the next event on the table. The hologram showed an enormous arena filled with moving walls, spinning blades, and pressure traps, the maze of trials. It's not just about strength, she said. It's about endurance, problem-solving, and adaptability. Mira nodded. Good, those are human specialties. Toby stretched his arms. Specialties? You mean surviving chaos? Exactly, Mira replied with a smile. That's what we do best. Elsewhere, alien media began changing their tone. Humans, the unpredictable challengers. New species uses coordination instead of implants. Primitive, yet powerful, are humans redefining competition? In training rooms across the galaxy, competitors watched replays of the human team. Some laughed. Some studied. Some felt something new, a quiet respect. In the following cycles, small groups of alien athletes began trying to mimic the humans' coordination, shouting to each other, trying to move in sync. But it didn't work the same. They didn't understand the emotion behind it. The trust, the laughter, the sense of belonging that humans carried with them everywhere. It wasn't just communication. It was connection. A silent understanding that no matter how bad things got, they would not abandon one another. That was the human way. As the arena lights dimmed for the night, Captain Mira stood alone on the observation deck, watching the stars drift by. She whispered to herself, "They think we came here for sport. But every step we take is a message." Leon's voice came from behind her. "And what message is that?" Mira looked out into the glowing sea of stars. "That humanity doesn't need to be the strongest. We just need to keep standing," Leon smiled quietly. "Then let's make sure we stand till the end." The next day would bring harder trials, new dangers, and new lessons. But for now, the galaxy had witnessed something it had never seen before, the power of human unity. And this was only the beginning. The third day of the interstellar games began with a heavy silence. The galaxy was no longer laughing at the humans. They were watching, closely, across thousands of worlds, screens lit up with the same title. Next event, the Maze of Trials. Every commentator reminded the viewers, this was the hardest round before the semifinals. It tested not just strength or speed, but intelligence, endurance, and adaptability. Only those who could think fast and work together would reach the end. And now the galaxy was wondering, could the humans possibly survive this too? Inside the preparation hall, Captain Mira Hale studied the floating hologram of the maze. It was enormous, a constantly shifting structure with traps, gravity zones, and illusion corridors. The walls would move randomly, and each team had to find their way to the central tower to retrieve a glowing orb, called the Core of Victory. Every 10 minutes, the maze would change shape. If anyone was trapped when the walls moved, they were out. Rena Sol zoomed in on the map projection. "We can't memorize it," she said. "The system reconfigures every few minutes." Eli Trent rubbed his chin. "So we can't rely on technology either. The scanners will glitch once the maze starts." Mira nodded. "Then we rely on what's left, our instincts and teamwork." Toby grinned. "You mean our chaos?" Mira smiled slightly. "Exactly that." The humans entered the massive gate along with dozens of alien teams. Above them, thousands of spectators filled the arena stands, glowing in every color imaginable. The grand announcer's voice echoed, "Competitors, your task is simple. Reach the core at the center of the maze. Only one team can claim victory. Let the maze of trials begin!" The floor beneath them shook and massive walls of metal rose from below, forming corridors and passages. In seconds, the competitors were separated, each group facing a different section of the maze. The human team found themselves standing at a junction where 3 paths stretched ahead. One filled with mist, one with darkness, and one glowing faintly green. Asha frowned. "So, which death trap do we choose?" Rena checked her small sensor pad. Readings showed temperature shifts from the green path. "That means energy fields. Energy usually means technology, Mira said. Let's go green. They moved quickly but carefully. The green path pulsed with light as they walked, and the floor suddenly shifted beneath their boots. Hold steady, Mira shouted. The corridor tilted like a slide, throwing them forward. Leon grabbed Toby's arm, pulling him up before he could fall into a glowing pit. Thanks, big guy, Toby gasped. No one falls alone, Leon replied. They pressed on, turning corners and dodging beams of light that shot from the walls. Each time they faced danger, someone reacted in time, not through superhuman speed but through trust. When a trapdoor opened beneath Asha, Rena caught her wrist. When a pressure wall started closing in, Eli jammed his toolkit into the gears, stopping it just long enough for the others to pass. The audience, watching live, began to cheer. Look at that cooperation. They react as if they share one mind. Those humans, they're fearless. For the first time in galactic game history, a primitive species was being cheered by the entire stadium. Halfway through the maze, the humans reached a massive open chamber filled with floating platforms. Each platform hovered over a glowing blue void that stretched endlessly downward. The platforms blinked, appearing and disappearing randomly. Rena took one look and said, "This is a timing puzzle. If we don't move together, we'll fall." Toby gulped. "No pressure, huh?" Mira took a deep breath. "All right, listen. We jump in sync, 3 seconds apart. Watch my count." The team lined up. 1, 2, 3. They jumped, and one after another, landing on separate platforms. The crowd gasped as 2 platforms vanished under Leon and Asha. But Leon grabbed Asha's arm, swinging her toward another platform just in time. Rena calculated the rhythm between appearances. "Pattern repeats every 8 seconds, she shouted. "Next move, left, then diagonal up." They followed her callouts perfectly. Step by step, jump by jump, they made their way across the deadly chamber until they finally reached the far side. As the last platform vanished behind them, the crowd roared with applause. Even the alien commentators were impressed. The humans display balance and trust beyond logic. Are they reading each other's movements? They continued deeper into the maze. Hours seemed to pass. The walls kept shifting, but the humans adapted. When one door closed, they found another path. When traps triggered, they learned to predict them. Meanwhile, other teams struggled. The Turvans, fast but reckless, had scattered in confusion. The Korith relied too much on scanners that failed after a system jam. The Relani, with their wings, couldn't fly in the narrow corridors. But the humans moved like a living organism, adjusting, learning, surviving. Finally, they reached the last chamber, the core hall. At its center floated the glowing orb, the core of victory. But surrounding it were tall mechanical sentinels, their armor shining like silver. Rena whispered, "Defense drones. They'll attack anything that moves too fast." Mira smiled faintly. "Then we move smart." They crouched behind a broken pillar as Mira outlined the plan. "Eli, you distract the sentinels by throwing a sound pulse from the right side. Leon, you and Toby flank left. Rena, track their sensor delay. Asha, with me. We move in when they're distracted." Everyone nodded. Eli activated a small device and tossed it across the floor. It emitted a high-frequency pulse that echoed through the chamber. The sentinels turned instantly, weapons glowing blue. Leon and Toby moved quickly, rolling behind cover and firing small EMP charges to jam the nearest drone's sensors. "Sparks flew now," Mira shouted. She and Asha dashed forward, weaving through laser beams. Asha's boots sparked against the floor as she slid beneath a beam, while Mira leapt and rolled, reaching the pedestal where the core hovered. "Got it," she shouted, grabbing the orb with both hands. The sentinels turned again, aiming at her, but Leon threw a flash grenade, and the explosion of light blinded the drones long enough for the team to regroup. "Move," Rena yelled. They sprinted toward the exit tunnel, the walls closing behind them. The maze began collapsing as the system reset. The humans ran with everything they had. Just before the corridor sealed shut, they dove through, landing in a heap on the metal floor outside. Silence. Then, cheers. The galactic arena erupted with noise as the scoreboard appeared. Winner, Team Humanity. Core secured in record time. The announcer's voice trembled with excitement. "The humans have done it again. 3 rounds, 3 victories. They have reached the semi-finals." In the stands, alien spectators stood and applauded. Even species known for their pride bowed their heads in respect. They don't just survive, one alien said. They grow. They fail, they adapt, they win. It's incredible. Across the galaxy, the phrase human resilience began trending on every data network. Back in their quarters, the team collapsed onto their seats, exhausted but happy. Toby laughed breathlessly. We almost got crushed in there. Leon nodded. Yeah, but we didn't, that's what counts. Rena smiled. We're becoming something the galaxy didn't expect, consistent. Mira looked around at her team. Tired, scratched, and smiling. You all did great. The galaxy saw us today and they won't forget it. She stood and tapped the glowing core they had earned. It pulsed faintly, reacting to her touch. This, she said softly, isn't just a trophy. It's proof. Proof of what? Asha asked. Proof that no matter where we are, Earth, Mars, or a maze between stars, humans find a way. Later that night, as the arena lights dimmed, an alien visitor approached the human quarters. He was tall and silver-skinned, Chancellor Vorthun, the High Overseer of the Games. Mira greeted him at the door. Chancellor, he studied her quietly. You and your team have changed the games, Captain Hale. The galaxy sees humanity differently now. Mira nodded politely. We only did what we came to do, compete. Vorthun's eyes glowed faintly. Perhaps. But what you are teaching the galaxy cannot be measured in medals. He left without another word, but his voice carried across the chamber. Tomorrow's challenge will be the hardest yet. Be ready. As Vorthun's shadow disappeared, Mira looked at her team resting nearby. She whispered, Tomorrow we face more than just a challenge. We face history. The stars outside the window shimmered softly as if listening. Humanity, once ignored, once mocked, now stood on the edge of legend, and the galaxy was watching every heartbeat. The fourth day of the interstellar games dawned with an energy the galaxy had never felt before. Billions of screens glowed across countless worlds. Crowds filled arenas chanting a name that was once laughed at. Humans. Humans, humans! Only 4 teams remained. The semifinals had arrived. The event was called the Storm of Titans, and even the bravest competitors trembled when they heard its name. It was not a normal contest. It was a survival match inside a colossal arena filled with shifting gravity, violent storms of energy, and mechanical beasts called Titans. To win, a team had to collect 3 energy cores hidden within the storm zone and survive until extraction. The humans were up against the Xylar Dominion, a species known for their size and strength. Each Xylar warrior was twice as tall as a human and wrapped in armor that could crush stone. Most believed the humans didn't stand a chance. Inside the preparation chamber, Captain Mira Hale stood before her team, her voice calm but strong. All right, she said. This is no longer just a game. Every move will be dangerous. But remember what we are. Leon Voss adjusted his gloves. We're survivors, Asha Rice smiled. And we're stubborn, Toby grinned. Let's go remind them. Rena Sol finished adjusting the team's scanners. We can't match their power, but we can outthink them. The energy cores will emit low-frequency pulses. Our equipment can track that. Eli Trent nodded. I've built signal dampeners into our suits. The Titans might not detect us if we move slowly. Mira looked at them proudly. Good, we don't fight like giants, we fight like humans. The enormous gates opened. A roar of wind and thunder greeted them as they stepped into the storm arena. Above, violet lightning tore through black clouds. Rain mixed with glowing energy fell like burning stars. The ground was uneven, filled with craters and broken metal. In the distance, massive shapes moved, towering titans made of steel and plasma. The announcer's voice echoed across the sky. Welcome to the Storm of Titans. 4 teams enter. Only one shall advance. A siren wailed and the challenge began. The humans moved quickly, staying low among the rocks. Signal at 2 o'clock, Rena whispered. First energy core 1 kilometer ahead. Mira nodded. Move quietly. They sprinted between lightning flashes, their visors glowing faintly. Behind them, the Xylar warriors crashed through the storm, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Ha! A Xylar shouted, his deep voice booming. Run, little humans! We will take the cores from your broken hands. The humans ignored the taunts. They had learned not to fight pride with pride. They fought with patience. When they reached the first energy core, it was guarded by a Titan. an enormous creature with arms like spinning turbines. Leon whispered, "We can't fight that." Mira's eyes narrowed. "No, but we can trick it." Eli pulled out a small EMP device and set it on the ground. Rena programmed it to emit a false energy pulse mimicking the core's signature. "Once we drop this," she said, "the Titan will think it's the real target." They placed the decoy near a pile of wreckage. As soon as the Titan turned toward it, Mira signaled the team. "Now!" They ran from the opposite side, sliding beneath the creature's spinning arms. Toby climbed onto the base and disconnected the true energy core from its cradle. "Got it," he shouted, holding the glowing sphere. The Titan turned back, but Leon threw a flash charge that blinded its sensors. The humans vanished into the storm. The first core was theirs, but the Xylar were not far behind. From the top of a ridge, one of their leaders watched with glowing yellow eyes. "They stole the first core," he growled. "Pathetic insects." "Crush them." 3 Xylar warriors leapt down, slamming into the ground like thunder. Their heavy armor made them nearly unstoppable. The humans heard the impact behind them. Mira turned. "Incoming!" They dived for cover as energy blasts tore through the air. The ground exploded beside them. "Scatter," Mira ordered. "Don't stay in one place." Asha sprinted left, drawing fire away. Leon covered her with suppressive charges. Toby rolled behind a fallen pillar, firing a flare into the sky that exploded in bright light, confusing the Xylar sensors. Eli shouted, "I've got an idea. Follow the wind tunnels." "What?" Toby yelled back. "The storm currents, they shift the gravity. We can use them to move faster." Mira understood immediately. "Everyone head for the updraft on my mark." 3, 2, 1, go. The humans ran into the swirling column of energy. The wind lifted them, carrying them across the battlefield like leaves in a storm. They landed far from the Xylar, safe but shaken. Toby laughed breathlessly. "Okay, that was insane," Mira smiled. "Insane works." The second energy core was located deep inside a lightning field. Rena studied her scanner. "The pulses are stronger here. The core must be near the storm's heart." Bolts of purple lightning struck all around them, leaving glowing scars in the ground. Eli adjusted his gear. "If we move in pairs, we can use the grounded rods to redirect the energy." Mira divided the team. "Leon, Asha, cover left. Toby, Rena, you're with me." Step by step, they moved through the lightning field using metal rods to ground each strike. It was like walking through the sky itself. When they reached the central platform, Mira saw it, the second core, glowing like a miniature sun. But another team was already there, the Rilani, winged beings with golden feathers. The Rilani captain smirked. "You move like shadows, humans. But this prize belongs to the skies." Before Mira could reply, lightning struck the platform. The shockwave threw both teams backward. The Rilani scattered in panic, their wings sparking from the energy. The humans hit the ground hard but stayed together. Leon groaned. "Everyone okay?" "Still breathing," Toby said, shaking off dust. Mira looked up. The Rilani were retreating, their wings damaged. "Then the core is ours," she said. Asha grabbed it carefully, wrapping it in protective fabric. 2 down. As they rested briefly in a cave, the storm outside roared louder. Rena checked the scanner. "The last core is near the storm's eye, the most dangerous zone." Mira nodded. "Then that's where we go," Toby frowned. "The Xylar will be there too." "Good," Mira said calmly. "Let's show them how humans fight." They approached the storm's center. The gravity twisted in strange ways. Rocks floated, lightning curved, and the rain burned like fire. The Xylar were already there, standing guard around the final core. Their leader, a giant with silver armor, pointed his blade toward Mira. "You have proven skill, human. But this ends now." Mira stood tall, unshaken. "We don't quit, remember?" The Xylar roared and charged. The ground cracked under his steps. Leon stepped forward to intercept, blocking the strike with a reinforced shield. Sparks flew. Eli and Rena ran around, trying to reach the core. Toby launched smoke grenades, filling the air with mist. Inside the chaos, Mira sprinted toward the glowing core. The Xylar leader swung again, but she ducked under the blade and rolled. She grabbed the core and shouted, "Now, Leon!" Leon slammed his shield into the ground, releasing an EMP charge that sent waves of static through the air. The Xylar armor flickered, temporarily disabled. "Fall back," Mira yelled. The humans ran through the storm, holding all 3 cores. Behind them, the Xylar struggled to stand as lightning raged around them. A blinding flash filled the sky, and then silence. When the light faded, the humans stood at the extraction point, soaked, exhausted, but alive. The announcer's voice trembled with excitement. Winner, Team Humanity. All 3 cores secured. The crowd erupted. The galaxy exploded with sound. They did it again. Humans advanced to the finals. They defeated the Xyler. Every screen, every network, every news broadcast shouted the same truth. Humanity was unstoppable. Back in their quarters, the team collapsed with tired laughter. Toby sighed. We fought giants and lived to tell it. What's next, dragons? Rena smiled. Don't tempt the universe. Mira looked at them proudly. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Asha leaned back. Captain, do you realize we're 1 step away from the championship? Mira nodded. Yes. And the galaxy will finally understand what humanity truly is. Far away, in the council hall of the Galactic Federation, Chancellor Vorthan watched the replay of the battle. He spoke quietly to his advisors. They fight without enhancements, yet they adapt faster than machines. Their courage comes from something we cannot design. One advisor asked, should we limit them in the finals? Vorthan shook his head. No, let them shine. The galaxy must see this to the end. That night, as the storm outside faded, Mira stood on the observation deck. The stars shimmered like silver dust. She thought about Earth, about the people watching from home. Millions of humans were awake, cheering, proud. Leon walked up beside her. Thinking about the final? Mira smiled. Yes, the last challenge will decide everything. He nodded. Win or lose, Captain, we already made history. Mira looked out into the stars. No, Leon, we're not done making it yet. The humans had survived the storm. They had faced giants and triumphed. Now 1 challenge remained, the final trial, and across the galaxy every heart, human and alien alike, waited to see what humanity would do next. The final day of the interstellar games arrived. The entire galaxy held its breath. Billions of spectators tuned in across hundreds of worlds, their eyes glued to the massive galactic arena. This was the grand finale, the last challenge that would decide the champions of the universe. The event was called the Convergence, a complex series of trials combining strategy, agility, endurance, and intellect. 4 teams entered. Only one would leave victorious: the humans, the Xyler, the Rilani, and a species known for pure intelligence, the Orathians, whose minds were said to process information faster than any machine. For the first time, no one laughed at humans. Instead, the galaxy watched with curiosity, anticipation, and awe. Inside their preparation chamber, Captain Mira Hale gathered her team. They were tired from the previous days, but determined. Mira's eyes scanned each face. This is it, she said. 1 final trial. 1 final chance to show the galaxy who we are. Leon nodded. We've survived storms, traps, and titans. This is just another challenge, Asha grinned. Bring it on. Rena held her scanner. The Convergence combines every type of obstacle. Speed, logic, cooperation. Everything we've learned will be tested. Eli adjusted the team's gear 1 last time. And we're ready. Toby stretched, cracking his knuckles. Let's make history. Mira smiled faintly. Not just history, legends. The massive gates opened, revealing the arena. It was enormous, stretching as far as the eye could see. Floating platforms, rotating blades, shifting gravity zones, and pools of energy filled the space. Above, a storm of glowing particles swirled, moving like a living entity. The grand announcer boomed, "Welcome to the Convergence. 4 teams will face the ultimate test of skill, courage, and teamwork. Only 1 team will be victorious. Let the grand finale begin." The arena trembled. Massive energy waves surged from the center. The first trial started, the field of flux. The humans stepped forward carefully. Panels of shifting gravity rose beneath their feet. Each step could send them floating into the void or crushing into the metal below. They moved slowly, deliberately. Lean forward, Mira instructed. Synchronize every step. Asha adjusted her boots and led the way, moving like a dancer across the panels. Leon followed, anchoring himself to stabilize the platform for Toby. Rena and Eli calculated distances and angles, calling out adjustments. Step by step, they crossed the treacherous field. Behind them, alien competitors struggled. The Orathians, relying on pure calculation, misjudged the changing gravity. The Xyler, with all their strength, were slowed by the narrow platforms. The Rilani, agile but impatient, misstepped repeatedly. Humans moved slower but with precision and trust. Next came the labyrinth of illusions. A massive maze appeared instantly, its walls shimmering with holographic projections that disguised real passages with fake ones. The energy cores from the previous trials floated at key checkpoints, glowing faintly as guides. The other teams relied on speed, charging through doors, ignoring warnings. They were trapped almost immediately. Rena studied the patterns. The walls react to movement. If we rush, they shift and trap us. We go slow, steady, and as one, Mira nodded. Follow my lead. Eyes sharp, mind sharp, Toby whispered, slow and steady, human style. They moved carefully, listening to Rena's guidance. When a holographic wall flickered, she pointed out the real path. When a floor panel disappeared, Leon steadied the team. Step by step, the humans advanced while others floundered. The third trial was called the Gauntlet of Titans, not mechanical ones this time, but challenges designed to test creativity under pressure. Floating energy orbs, rotating platforms, swinging beams, and sudden force fields awaited. The Xyler attempted brute force, smashing through obstacles. The Rilani tried aerial acrobatics. The Arathians calculated theoretically, predicting movements. The humans adapted. Asha ran across spinning platforms, timing her jumps with the shifting beams. Leon held unstable panels for others to pass. Toby rigged a makeshift pulley to move a floating orb. Eli modified energy dampeners on the fly to protect the team. Rena calculated angles, predicting changes before they happened. No one could match their combination of intelligence, speed, and cooperation. Finally, the last trial awaited, the core of convergence, suspended atop a massive tower of energy. The other teams arrived almost simultaneously. The Arathians tried to calculate the fastest path but hesitated at every shifting obstacle. The Xyler charged with force only to be knocked back by energy fields. The Rilani relied on flight, but the final tower's gravity was unpredictable, sending them spiraling. The humans approached carefully. Mira whispered, "Remember everything. Trust each other. Move as one." Together they climbed, dodged, and leapt. Each action was in perfect sync. When a floor panel tilted dangerously, Leon steadied it. When a rotating beam threatened to crush them, Asha timed a precise jump. Rena called out angles. Toby made small adjustments. Eli diverted energy pulses. Step by step, human coordination conquered chaos. At the final platform, the core of convergence glowed brighter than a sun. Mira reached out, gripping it firmly. "Together," she said. Asha, Leon, Rena, Eli, and Toby placed their hands on it as well. A surge of energy pulsed through them. The arena trembled. The other teams watched, unable to match the unity they saw. The scoreboard flashed, Grand Champion, Team Humanity, conquerors of the convergence. The arena exploded with sound, color, and light. Spectators cheered, waved banners, and danced across every planet watching. For the first time, a species so young in the galactic arena had conquered every challenge. Chancellor Vorthon appeared above the arena in a holographic projection. "You have shown the galaxy the true strength of your species, Captain Hale," he said. "Not in power, not in speed, but in courage, unity, and heart." Mira bowed slightly. "Thank you, Chancellor. We only did what humans do best, stand together." Across the galaxy, billions of viewers replayed the moment endlessly. The story of the humans, once underestimated, mocked, and doubted, was now a legend. In their quarters, the team celebrated quietly. Toby laughed. "I still can't believe we did it." Leon smiled. "We survived storms, titans, and puzzles. We earned it." Asha raised a small cup of synthesized drink. "To humans!" "To humans," everyone echoed. Mira looked at them, exhausted but proud. "Remember this feeling. The galaxy has seen what humanity can do. But the most important part, we never gave up. Not once." The galaxy would not forget the legends of humanity. Children on distant worlds drew pictures of humans climbing towers and dodging lightning. Scholars wrote of their clever strategies. Warriors studied their teamwork. Leaders debated how a small, unenhanced species had conquered the greatest challenges in history. Humans had entered the games for sport. But they left as symbols of hope, courage, and unity. Later, standing on the observation deck, Mira looked out at the stars. "They thought we were fragile," she whispered. "They thought we were weak. But they were wrong." Leon stood beside her. We didn't just win, Captain. We inspired, Mira smiled. Exactly. That is what it means to be human. As the lights of the arena dimmed, the stars above seemed to shine brighter. Across the galaxy, every race, every world, every being remembered one truth. Humanity was small, but their spirit was limitless, and in that moment, the legend began, one that would echo through the stars for millennia. The humans had entered for sport. The galaxy had witnessed legends in action,